Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Adventures in Truth Livecast. My name is Jim Case. I'm excited to be here and excited that you're here with me. Today's show is going to be pretty fun. I'm excited to welcome back the world traveler, Moshe Engelberg, back from a recent trip to join us on this amazing conversation today. We're going to talk about sameness equals safety. And before we do that, I want to ask that if you're watching, if you have watched, if you are just new to us, love it wherever you're watching, if you'd like, or subscribe, and definitely share the live window to let more people know that we're here and what we're about and all that good stuff. But I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you being a part of the show. If you'd like to interact with us during the show, please head over to Adventures in Truth Facebook page. And actually, I think anywhere that the live window is, if you're at a live window and you type a question, and I believe it will come to me in the studio, but for sure on the Adventures in Truth Facebook page. And we'll get those comments and questions. We'll bring them on air, and it'll be fun to include you in the conversation. So let's talk about a little bit for a minute. Sameness equals safety. Core premise is this: the ego, that consciousness that rules the physical body, lives in the space of sameness equals safety. So every day it strives to help you to create that sameness, the things that kept you alive, that have kept you alive in the previous day, moving into the new day, moving into the next day. We'll always seek to find that sameness. And that sameness is what sort of dumbs down our experience, because the sameness is also tied to the fear consciousness. So we're going to dive into that in wholeheartedly and with great fun. It's a sort of a foundational element of what the show and my book and the program all sort of evolve around, is how to change that experience of sameness equals safety and to develop it into something more. But we're going to be right back right after this, and I'll see you on the other side. All right. Fear is a choice. Unraveling the illusion of our separation from love. Check it out. fearisachoicebook.com is the webpage. There you can find all the links to order with Amazon and Barnes & Noble and IndieBound and Kindle. And you can find testimonials there. You can find videos there about the book as well. Fear is a Choice book is a powerful tool and a tool that helps us to change that relationship with the ego, but to change, more importantly, the relationship with fear. And I have been observing even more so the importance of this changing relationship with fear, that, as we've gone through this past year and a half or 2 years, the pandemic, the things that are happening in the world, all of it generating more insecurity and more fear in people. Now being fearful of who's vaccinated and who's not, being fearful of, do I get it or don't I get it? If I get it, how I get it. The noise about this is so profound. And I want you to use this book to help you change that relationship, to stop dialing into the negativity, to stop ascribing to a fear-based consciousness so that you can shift to a to an opportunity-based consciousness. And what is the difference in that? It's really quite simple. A fear-based consciousness dumbs down who you are. So if you imagine that you look through binoculars or a monocle in the world, and you kind of look through the world in that singular focus, you notice that it's very challenging to see the periphery. It's challenging to get the whole picture because you're very limited in what you can view. But if you open that up, if you shift into that, changing that relationship with fear, shifting into that opportunity-based consciousness, you now have opened up the potential and possibilities to much more extraordinary possibilities, because you're now no longer limited by this constricted vision, this dumbed down experience of who you are in the world. You begin to allow for many other possibilities that you may not have even known existed, because in that dumbed down state, you're not accessible to it. Your field, your energy is not available to it. So check out my book, www.fearsachoicebook.com. I guarantee it will help to change your life, because it will change your relationship with fear. And I appreciate that. We'll be right back right after this. All right, the year of conscious creation. My world is good, my world is good, my world is good. Today I'm singing it. My world is good. Why am I singing it? Because it's profound to me how powerful it is. Every day I get to experience something that I don't know that I would have been in attention to had I not been fine-tuning my energy on a daily basis to this idea of my world is good. I went on a hike yesterday with my good friend to celebrate his birthday. And we were at somewhere near 11,000 feet. I hiked for 10 miles. And I haven't hiked in 10 miles, I think, ever in my life. But I have been in this focus. My world is good when I'm doing my walks in the morning and my walks in the evening, as I'm utilizing the mountain to stimulate my body and get me engaged in this process. I find every day that there are things that I tap into. When I go for my walk in the morning, getting those snapshots, and as we're talking about this, feel it. Feel my world is good. See it. So as you look through the world, bring in the appreciation that helps to expand all that energy. So you focus into anything. And as I'm walking in the morning, I look around and I catch a snapshot of the way the sun hits that tree. Or I catch a snapshot of neighbors that are walking their dogs as I'm walking my dog. Or I get a snapshot of watching my dog enjoy as he's just bounding down the street, enjoying his time together with me and me with him. And you can literally look in your physical reality at this very moment, focus in appreciation on something that just gives you joy or satisfaction, or even the slightest bit of good feeling, and just focus into that. And as you focus into that, feel it. And as you feel it, then speak it. My world is good. And start wherever you are. It may be a challenge at first. You may be kind of like, my world's good. My world's good. But as you keep feeling it and as you keep saying it, it changes, because goodness has to affect you when you call on it. It's affecting you. So here you are, one of 7.5 billion worlds that are inhabiting this planet. And out of that process, you are creating your own world. And this individual world that you are creating obviously moves and aligns and transitions and engages with everybody else. But as we take this neutral positive statement, this my world is good, and we bring it into that world, then as we touch other people who share that energy, we expand that energy of goodness in the world. And so over time, and we continue to do this as it is a year of conscious creation, we begin to create a tipping point, a powerful tipping point, where the goodness begins to outweigh the negativity of the mass consciousness that has been continually driven on that that messaging. So if you think about it from these terms, if you think about the amount of energy and effort that goes into the negative messaging you receive every single day, imagine that you need to counter that with a different energy. You don't need to fight the energy. You don't need to battle the energy. You don't need to hate the energy. You simply need to shift to something else. Change your focus. My world is good. My world is good. My world is good. See it, feel it, speak it every day, 10 times in the morning when you first wake up, 10 times later in the day. But then use it throughout the day. Anytime you're feeling out of alignment, anytime you're feeling pulled into a negative space, my world is good. My world is good. Get centered in that feeling and that experience and let it carry you out of that moment into a new moment of goodness and more goodness and more goodness. So my world is good, the year of conscious creation. This movement doesn't require anything of you, but your energy, your love, your focus, and your intention. My world is good. Let's work with it together. Let's change the world together. And we're going to be right back right after this. We're going to be Moshe in for a great show. We'll see you on the other side. Whoop, whoop. There he is. The world traveler is back.
Good morning.
Hey, welcome back.
Thank you. What a trip.
Yeah. What a trip, huh?
Yes.
Amazing. I'll be excited to hear about it, but I'm excited for our conversation today. This isn't necessarily a new topic. We're spending probably a little more time on it than normal. But I was thinking in terms of some things that you and I talked about and some things that I've talked with other clients about, that there's this kind of the evolution of story and how interesting it is that we make decisions in our world and we make choices, and as we move through those choices, we're inundated with this other energy of story of things that want to talk us out of this change that we want to make, or this thing that we want to shift, or this concept, or this whatever it is, this behavior that we have that's not serving us anymore. And at the core of that experience, in my understanding, is this idea of sameness equals safety, which is sort of a core anchoring principle of the ego. That if we can maintain, if I can maintain safety, then the body will stay alive on the planet, and that's the ultimate goal. Keep the body alive on the planet, because that's what it's here for. Without the body, we don't have the same experience. So, so that's sort of the foundational beginnings of that. What would you like to add to that little bit there? Do you have anything?
Yeah, the whole idea of risk. When we say sameness equals safety, it's also saying what I know is safe, and what I don't know, we somehow equate with risk. And there's some truth to that. If we don't know what it is, there's a chance it could be dangerous. We just don't know. It's in today's world, it's typically very unlikely, but it's still a possibility. So I think another ingredient in this is the notion of how we treat risk.
Okay, tell me what you describe risk for me from your perspective. What does that mean? What does risk mean?
It means a possibility or probability of an outcome. Usually we associate it with a negative outcome.
Ah, okay. So would it be safe to say that it is the furthest reaches of our comfort level, or is it not the furthest reaches? Is it just simply not engaging our comfort level?
I think it challenges our comfort level, and there's two aspects. There's kind of the rational side of, well, if I get on an airplane and fly, what's the risk? And I can think about it and look at statistics and say, well, it's pretty low. I should be fine. But then there's the emotional response. Like that comes up in flight or fight a lot of this outcome is very unlikely, but it scares the hell out of me.
Mm-hmm.
So there's those aspects, and both the emotional one, I think, is one that mainly takes us out of our comfort zone.
Well, and it's also the one that stimulates the sameness equals safety operation.
Yeah.
That idea that oh my gosh, you're what? but you stayed alive not doing that yesterday.
Right. Right.
You had 3 meals yesterday because you didn't do that.
Right.
But my point to that is that we'll spend some time on this in a further segment here. But the idea of the power of the mind to create story that creates this focus that puts us in a state of lack of confidence in what we know could be the right step or the right action or the right whatever. So I'm kind of, it's kind of fun. It's going to be kind of fun to talk about that because it's so, it's no different in my world, that I've caught myself numerous times, even in the last week, telling somebody something that I had no knowledge of in my personal experience. But in my head, there was a full story about it. And I told them the story and I went, dude, and we were talking about, because I had a couple teeth taken out and my friend's wife had 2 teeth pulled. And I had a very positive experience of it, given what it was. But I didn't have any pain. I didn't take any pain medication. And she, on the other side, had a horrible experience and had a ton of pain and a ton of uncomfort and still dealing with it, 4, 5, 6 days later. Different context, but the in the moment of it, I said something like I'd had this experience. I said something about it in a way that was authoritative about the experience of having teeth removed, but remembering that I've not had oral anything in 50, in 50 years. I've never had anything taken out of my mouth. I've never had anything put in my mouth. I've been very fortunate that I have really good teeth. And so now at 56, I'm having this experience, and now I'm going to have an opinion about something that I've never experienced before and have no history with. And I did, and right in the moment of it, I said what I can't remember the specific thing I said, but right in the moment of saying it, I went, oh, why did you just say that? You have zero experience with this. And so I called myself out right in the middle of the conversation with my friend and said, yeah, that's a lot of nonsense, because the truth is this is the first time it's ever happened in my life. So I have no vantage point from which to, this minor one, but I have no vantage point from which to have an authoritative opinion on this, but it just slides in. It just, the story just kind of slides in so that it fills whatever thing I think it thinks I need in my experience. It's kind of strange that way, but so we're going to dive into that and really get into the sameness equal safety thing on the other side of the break. Moshe, we're going to go for a moment of focus, and we'll be back in just a few minutes and carry on our conversation.
Sounds good.
Okay, see you in a sec. All right, guys, this is one of my favorite parts of the show. This is the where the rubber meets the road sort of thing, the daily practice, the focusing into our experience so that we can share a connected experience. I firmly believe in the idea of where 2 or more are gathered. And I believe beyond that even if we're not gathered in the same space, when we're gathered in the same energy, that energy comes together for all of us in a way that questions get answered and understanding comes, because all of you contributing to this topic, contributing to this idea, and sending your energy and participation helps us to flesh out more and more of the depth of this. And I appreciate that. And part of that comes because we learn how to focus our energy. We learn how to attend to our field. And so this moment of focus is about bringing you in alignment with you so that you are fully present with whatever you're going forward to after we complete this. So we're going to be breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And I'd like you to start that now, in through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Good. And continue that rhythm as you breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Feel the relief and the relaxation that begins to unfold in your body. And let yourself settle in nice and easy into the space that you're in, whether you're sitting or standing or laying down. Just tuning into my voice and following the prompts, letting your eyes close softly, and just noticing as you move, as you sort of assess your physical state, finding that state of relaxation as best as possible, relaxing the face and the muscles in the face, relaxing the jaw, relaxing even the closing of your eyes. Don't hold them down. Just let them rest. If they bounce a little, if they open a little and you take in a little light, it's okay. Just stay with the softness of it. And as you continue to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, focus your awareness on your field. And when I say your field, I'm talking about the energy that is you, that is all of you. And you may not know what that looks like. You may not know what it feels like. Maybe you've not tapped into it in a conscious way before. And that's okay. This is a place for you to explore that. So as you tap into it, let it inform you however it does. It may be a color, it may be a picture, it may be a feeling, it may be a sensation, whatever it is, just let it inform you. What is that experience that you're having? And as you allow yourself to become aware of the magnificence of you, this energy that just extends from your physical body way out into the world, way out into the universe, and just look at the magnificence of you. But at the same time, also notice as you're in that space, notice the field, notice what's in the field. Is the field clear and pure? Is it all unified in color? What are you noticing? Are there pockets in your field? Do you notice that there are places in your field where there's kind of these clumps or these dense energies hanging out in your field? Everybody has them. As we move through the world, as we engage, we get triggered, we get stimulated, we get engaged in things. And so those energies begin to condense in our field. I don't want you to attend to them. I just want you to be aware of them, because the more of them that they are, the less energy you have available to you in this moment. So these things are not necessary, but it's the way we process. So I just want you to be aware of it so that you can attend to that and begin to release those energies so that you can reclaim that power. You can reclaim that energy for yourself. Again, you're breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And now as you're focused into that field, just disconnect from the clumps or the lump or the areas or the pockets and focus into the brilliance of your field and command that field now into your heart. Command that field, bring it into the center of your being. Just feel it as it coalesces around you, as it becomes more intense, as it becomes more focused, and feel the tingling and the warmth that occurs as it's inside of you, as you begin to experience the inside of you. Feel it deeply. Experience that. Let that consciousness roam around the inside of your body, informing you in this moment. In through the nose and out through the mouth, continuing to go deeper. As you let this beautiful energy explore the inside of your head. Get comfortable with the inside of who you are. Even though you may not understand how it operates or what it doesn't matter. Tune into it. Harmonize with it. Have a relationship. It's you. It's the physicalness of this gorgeous field that you are. It is the physical manifestation. Another physical manifestation. And that physical manifestation is extraordinary. It is a magnificent system of cells and stuff that's come together in a way that allows you to do things here that are magnificent, from walking to talking to breathing to seeing to hearing to touching to tasting, all of it. All of these systems inside of you, as you allow this energy to continue to roam through you on the inside, as you breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, taking it all in, taking all of that awareness in as you are aware of the systems, as you're aware of the organs and the muscles and the tissues of your body, as you're traveling through the body. If you feel a point of disharmony in there, just focus your magnificence into it and breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth a few times. Focus into that energy and let it expand. Breathe life into it so that it can open up and release from your energy, release from your space. And continue to do that now as we focus into the breath. Bring your awareness back to your heart space. Stay in there. Let that consciousness roam around and heal. Let it touch you. Let it uplift you. And as you do, you're going to focus more now intently on the breath, because the breath is everything. The breath is life force. It's chi. It's prana. It's everything. And the more we learn to manage breath, the more powerfully we learn to change our energy, the more easily we learn to change our energy, because that is energy. As you breathe in that life force, it fills every cell and every atom of your being with life. And as you exhale, you are releasing the old. You are releasing energies that are no longer present for or necessary for this moment, because every breath is a moment of creation. And as you breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth now, we're going to focus that count. We're going to breathe into a count of 4. We're going to rest at the top and hold it. And then we're going to purge it out of the mouth to a count of 6, so that we get all the deepest, oldest parts of that air and energy out of the system, preparing as we go into the void after that, to be in the space of allowing as you re-engage the lungs to bring in new energy and new life force consciously and let it fill you. Then you rest at the top again. Okay, and here we go. As you finish the last breath that you're in and you're focused on the inhale, we're inhaling. 2, 3, 4. Feel that fullness, feel that richness, relaxing the body. And now we're releasing it, surrendering it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Amazing. And now rest in that empty space. Feel the void. Anticipate the emptiness. And re-engage your lungs as you inhale strongly. 2, 3, 4. Feel the fullness. Relax the neck and shoulders. Feel everything relax. And feel the fullness. And then surrender it. And let it go as you exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there they are, resting in the emptiness, in the void, finding peace in empty, staying in a state of allowing. As you engage the lungs, you inhale. 2, 3, 4. Feel the fullness, feel it, experience the richness of it, and then surrender it in this moment. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The most important part, allowing the void, allowing the emptiness for just this moment, this now moment, because you will consciously allow something new as you stimulate and enter into a new breath. And we go. And carry on that rhythm on your own as you inhale. Notice how you inhale. Feel those lungs expand even further with each new breath. Give yourself permission to expand even further in your breath. And as you reach the top, feel how full and magnificent you feel and how empowered you feel. And then choose to let it all go right now. Surrender it as you exhale. Let it go back out into the universe. Let any old energy be purified and cleansed through you. Let it be released as you reach the bottom. And just relish the emptiness. Relish the space of creation. Relish that space of allowing. And as you do, feel the stimulation begin to build as you need to take in air again, and you fill up once again. A new moment of creation. Feel the magnificence of that. Continue to breathe into that. Continue to experience it as you take in these words. I am the evolution of God realized as matter. I inform and guide that expression as the pure expression of God. I show up as God. I connect as God. I align as God. I am creation realized. And from that, I create, I expand, I engage. I am. And feel that breath consume you in an acknowledgement of your power as a creator, in the acknowledgement of you as the creation. And allow yourself to cycle through one more breath, one more cycle of breath as you bring your awareness back to this space, back to this conversation. As Moshe and I get ready to dive in once again to this amazing conversation, bring your awareness to this space and your energy to this space, and contribute your energy here as we begin to expand on this topic and have an amazing conversation. As I welcome Moshe back to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for that prompt to come back.
Yeah. I'm learning. I got to tell people they got to come back. I can't just leave them out there for
I
so.
need that. The last part of what you talked about, and you use the word creation a lot, reminded me that the phrase abracadabra that we use
Mhm.
for magic,
Yep.
the Hebrew for those words in Hebrew, it's pronounced a little bit differently. Abracadabra literally translates, according to some like me, it translates as I create like God creates.
Wow.
That's what abracadabra means.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I think so.
Abracadabra. I like that.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So, did you have any inspiration or thought over our little separation there into this topic of sameness equal safety? Is there something particular you would like to focus into about this topic that would be you think would be useful? And you can
Hmm.
think on it for a minute if you want. And we'll
I guess the first thing that comes up is how we treat uncertainty. Sameness is predictable, right? We know
yes,
if I do this like I did yesterday, probably the same thing will happen. It's not always true, but that's how we what we tell ourselves.
yes,
And just with uncertainty, there's the opportunity to treat it as an adventure. Like what'll happen? I don't know. That's exciting. Or with fear. So I think choosing fear
hmm
is like, there's a point where we make that choice to say what's unknown is scary. So that's the piece I want to bring in.
that's awesome. And you don't know this because you weren't around, but the last show I did was called "The Illusion of Uncertainty," or no, excuse me, "The Gift of Uncertainty and the Illusion of Certainty."
Ah,
And I did that show with Cindy Dale, and interesting that you should bring that up because that is really at the core of what makes us choose, right? We believe somehow that uncertainty is well, I should say we believe in the idea of certainty, and certainty is tied directly to sameness. Certainty is saying, oh, I'm certain it's going to be the same. I'm certain it's going to be good. I'm certain it's going to be what I have been doing all along. I'm certain of that. I'm certain that when I go to work today that I'll be welcomed and everything will be good. Except today you go into work and you're laid off because of whatever. And so there's, to me, I love that you brought it up because uncertainty is definitely at the core of what causes people not to make choices outside of their norm, not to make choices outside of sameness equals safety, because
yes,
the illusion is your certainty is more important or more effective or more something. And ultimately, it's just simply keeping you safe, which safety isn't a bad thing. But when safety is preventing you from expanding and safety is preventing you from growing or safety is preventing you from stepping into what might bring you to the next experience of yourself, then it is no longer serving you because you've
right.
now become a limited experience.
And I think of that when flying on a commercial carrier, say it's
Mm-hmm.
Southwest Airlines, they'll often say, our first priority is your safety. And it sounds reassuring. And I'm not sure I believe it because their first priority is getting me where I'm going. And I'm not there to be safe. I'm there to get somewhere. That's why I'm flying. But there's a sense of safety that comes from them saying that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's kind of weird. And can I get a little bit geeky for just a minute
Absolutely.
about uncertainty? So there's the math piece of it, which is we treat things as certain that really aren't certain. If
Mm-hmm.
I get in my car and drive somewhere, I'm not certain it's safe and that I'm not going to crash or something, but I don't think about it. So it goes in a bucket. So things that are probable, like it's probable I'll be fine, we call certain. And we play these tricks on ourselves and kind of pretend, because otherwise we're immobilized by anything I do has risk to it.
Yeah.
So that's part one, is we kind of play this mental game, which is healthy in a way, because again, otherwise we'd be immobilized because everything has a risk.
Yeah. And so there's nothing wrong. There's nothing that says that if you evaluate your environment if you're evaluating as you're stepping into a new environment and you're evaluating that experience, that isn't necessarily fear driven. You may be acting out of caution.
Yeah.
And caution is okay. Caution is just, it's allowing you to stay in greater awareness. Typically, when you're in caution, you heighten your experience to kind of pay attention to detail, right? That's the idea of it anyway. It may not be how we utilize it. If you're using caution through fear, then your chances are good you're in that restricted place. But being able to step into something new and feel caution is just to say, okay, this is new to my energy. This is new to my experience. What does it feel like? What does it look like? How is it affecting? What is it doing? And I'm keeping it kind of general, but you can use that in any context to feel your way into the next moment and feel comfortable with that. I want to take a quick second here because we're going to have to take a break again here in just a sec. But I want to talk a little bit about this, a new understanding of the ego, because I think it helps to frame this conversation a little better. And that is just my construct of what I see the ego is. And to me, the ego is the consciousness that rules this physical body. It's born with the body and it dies with the body. So it is aware of its short-term experience, but its focus is about keeping the body on the planet. What do I mean by that? Well, to me, the ego, being the consciousness of the physical body, is taking the information that we receive through sight, taste, touch, smell, and hearing, and assessing our environment, any environment we're in. So the ego is just taking in whatever it is it's experiencing in the physical reality, and then it's responding to that. What's happened over time, unfortunately, is that the job has become much more complicated by us, by the entrainment of fear and by the evolution of those experiences in the human experience. So what I mean by that is the ego, we've given the ego, the best analogy I have for that is that we have this multi-billion-dollar corporation called our life. And what we've chosen to do is hand the keys to that multi-billion-dollar corporation to an 8-year-old and say, hey, good luck with that. And then putting all of this crap onto the ego, and then on top of putting all the crap on top of the ego, fighting about it. So not only are we going to dump all this crap and say, here's my corporation, run with it, then because of the other part of the mass consciousness that says the ego is bad, we then go fight that energy that we've given all of our power to. How dumb is that?
I love that analogy.
I say that tongue in cheek, but I say that because seriously, is that a twisted way to try to get around the process rather than acknowledge the role that it's given and then stop trying to give it other things. Do the work to expand that part of you, the soul, that field that you experienced in the beginning of this conversation in the meditation, and bring that to bear on your experience. And as you build that relationship, the ego then can go back to its job, and you can not be at war with yourself because there's nothing to be at war about. It's just as much a part of you. It's no different than if you started having a fight with your heart because you tried to take a hike and you couldn't breathe 3/4 of the way through. So now you're going to fight with your heart and your lungs because it wasn't prepared. Who was supposed to prepare it, right? It's just another part of you. So if you were in context and in the greater part of yourself, you would do things that would start to build the strength of these organs so that you, in anticipation for your expansion, in your anticipation for growth, in your anticipation for engagement, you're ready, or at least you are as ready as you can be. And now everything's in cooperation. And the body now, the ego now is responding to those orders or those directions. And notice I'm spinning up when I say that, because you're focused in an upward motion, in an expansive motion, instead of this downward spiral of inability or inadequacy or judgment or whatever it is you want to beat yourself up about for not being enough of, when really that's just story the ego's been telling you.
Well, bottom line, what I love that analogy. That's a lot. That's a lot. And I think bottom line, you're saying the ego is of service to the soul.
Should be, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if we let that be, that's good. It's when we tell it be of service, but then we criticize it for being of service, because it feels like it's trying to take over. That's where the rub is.
Yes. But also understand that there are many books and teachings and things out there that tell you about beating up the ego and conquering the ego and getting control of your ego and all of this. The ego is a bad thing. The ego is what the ego is. It is the consciousness that animates the body. If you've given it more position and power than that, that's on you. If you've chosen not to engage it in the role that it was intended for, that's on you. Stop doing that. Figure out something else. Make a change that allows you to, and that's where breath comes in. That's where daily practice comes in. That's where appreciation and awareness come in, is that you can recognize all things are here in your favor. All things are here to help you move in the direction of your desire. But if you are not dialed into that, then you are the problem. Nothing else is.
So what practice do you recommend for that very sticky part where the ego, because the ego likes power, when we give it more power than it should have, it'll say, yeah, this is good for you. Give me more. I'll keep you safe, which leads back to sameness.
It's just like building a muscle. Doing daily practice, doing meditation, doing yoga, whatever it is you do, walking, hiking, whatever activity that you like to engage in that helps you to harmonize yourself, that helps you to align your experience into the greatest part of your field, the greatest part of who you are and your awareness of that. That is a process of building a muscle, so to speak. It doesn't happen in a day. It gets better in a day. You can notice change in a day, and that change is going to be typically incremental. It can be small, but it can be great. It depends on your level of resistance and how willing you are to surrender that. Because the ego tells a good story all the time. The ego tells the story of the unconscious part of you that you have stored in the warehouse of the subconscious, right? Every single experience you've had is stored in that warehouse. Every single emotion you felt is stored in that warehouse. And what happens is that when you've given the power to the ego, it looks like this to me. When you encounter life and life comes to you and you're trying to deal with whatever situation you're trying to deal with, your first response is either going to the thing you described. You go to the fight or flight mechanism. You're going to fight it, or you're going to run away from it, or you're going to freeze in the face of it. All of those are ego responses. And remember, that response, that thing that I just described to you is an active part of our consciousness. It's called the survival mechanism. But because we've so abused our egos, it uses the survival mechanism. We stay in a state of survival continually because of the constant messaging of fear, because of the constant messaging that we're not enough, because of the constant messaging that we have integrated from the outside world that says we're not enough. So when you start to change that viewpoint, when you start to disavow that viewpoint that's out there, when your perspective is no longer reflecting a downward spiral of energy, then you are beginning to build that muscle. And over time, and again, it changes every single time you do it, and it gets stronger every single time you do it. So like in my world now, the ego is still trying to tell me stories, and I catch myself. I was sharing a story. Did I share that with you? I think I did. Just briefly, a brief situation where I decided because of my tooth situation that I had now authority about tooths and what that experience was.
A little bit ago.
Yeah, and so that whole thing is just craziness. But I realized, because my friend said, when I responded, my friend said something very innocuous about whatever, and I went, oh my gosh, I just literally told him something that I have no experience. I tried to convince him of something that I only have one experience of, and I don't have any history with. And so what I did is, and then I call myself out on it right in the conversation. And then I get to laugh about it. And because I laugh about it, I'm not telling myself the tale. I'm not telling myself, or I'm not telling on myself because I'm abusing myself. I'm telling myself to stop it in the moment, to stop that energy right there and go, huh, that's funny. I just made that up. I have absolutely no experience with this.
Yeah.
So please disregard my proclamation, you know? and then it disperses it. So even along the path, it's going to continue to grow. It's going to continue to happen, but you become conscious of it's happening, and don't play with it. You don't engage it. You don't go there. And if you do, you start to feel the rub, and you go, oh yeah, no, that's not okay. Yeah, let's change that. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm thinking. And again, it's not you don't necessarily have to be mea culpa. You don't have to be beating yourself up. You just acknowledge in the moment that, wow, I just stepped in it, and that's okay. Because it's in the taking back of the power in it. That moment is probably the most impactful moment you could have in any given situation, because you're addressing it in the moment and choosing in the moment not to engage the story. Or if you've engaged it, to say, oh, I just engaged the story and that doesn't serve me. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah. And in that example about your teeth and the oral surgery you had and your friend, I can imagine it could lead you to recast what you said is, well, I've only had one experience with it. Here's what happened when I had surgery. But then you're not making up a story about what it means for everybody, or
exactly. Yeah, because that's just sharing that's part of compassion, right?
Yeah.
That's a piece of compassion, as you say, oh, I know. I was really fortunate because I didn't have any of that experience.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to, oh, well, maybe, you know, and suddenly there I am in the authority. I wanted to take a second here. Jackie jumped in and shared a comment with us. Ego is about who's right. Truth is about what's right. I kind of like that. What do you think?
One thing, ego always wants us to be right.
Right. So the ego is always, that's what the story time is about. Story time is about, I'm right. I know I'm right. See, I'm right. I know. It's that little kid trying to get acknowledgement. It's that little kid who wants to, that little person. That's why I call it an 8-year-old, because it isn't thinking as an adult. It doesn't register as an adult because it's not, it's of the physical body. So it's not, it's not that. So I love that, because that's where you get the what's right part is, how do you walk in truth? And maybe right is not the ultimate word, but in the phrase that it's used, who's right instead of what's right, I think it speaks to a level of truth. But you have to be careful too, because if you start getting into the right mode, then you're also playing in story. Because what's right for me is not necessarily right for you. What's right, there are a lot of things in regard to this consciousness work and these things that we talk about. We're sharing our experiences and asking you to bring them into your world and see how it resonates. Is it energy up or energy down? What is it doing for you? And it's just a place that you can find an anchor to a concept or to an idea or to something that you may be wrestling with, and be able to walk yourself through it. Because what we're providing here is our experience of it, to say, hey, here's one way. Here's the way we've done it. What do you like?
I think we can take what Jackie said. Truth is about what's right. Another way to say that is it's just simply what is, independent of who said it or where it came from. It's what it is.
Yes.
Which brings us back to sameness, because that sameness equals safety, where we started. Because there's truth to, if I do the same thing, I'm likely to get the same outcome, so it's safe. it's not a false premise. It's just a very limiting one.
Mm-hmm.
An implication that anything other than what I already did is inherently more dangerous. So it's putting judgment on what's different instead of saying anything other than what I've done or anything different is simply that's different. Could be safer. We don't know.
Right. But you have to be able to step into that in a clean place to assess where you're at with it. It's an interesting conversation I have with a lot of people, and with Michael and too. We have these conversations where he'll come out with a declaration about something, and that declaration is from an experience he may or may not have had 2 or 3 decades ago, but it comes out today as this is the way it is. And I'll say, when was the last time you experienced that? Well, yeah, I think it was about, yeah. I'm like, no, you've not experienced it in the decade we've been together. You didn't experience it in any time that I'm aware of in the time that we've been together. So that's at least 12 years. So, and we can keep going back. And next thing you know, we're talking 25 years ago, this event happened and it impacted him, obviously, because 25 years later, he still thinks it's true. Right. And so that's part of the work. That's part of the building the new muscle, is going, that's a 25-year-old belief that is based on something that I don't even live there. I don't even live anywhere near there anymore. Yet I still pulled it into this reality because that's what was in the warehouse when I was thinking about it. Yeah. And my mind said, oh, you're spinning, you're focused, you have focused your energy there. Give me a sec. Come on forward. Here's the story. And I'm right. I can contribute. And I say, no, that's not contribution. That's just crap you're spewing into the world, because it's just crap. It's not true. It's not real. It doesn't exist. It hasn't existed for a long time. There's nothing about it that belongs in this reality, except the ego brought it forward to support your focus. Understand, important part.
I think another way of saying that, a different way of saying that is, it's only an experience. It's an experience, and it's being put forward as a fact.
Yes, it was an experience. Yes.
He had the experience 25 years ago, whatever it was.
Yes.
It reminds me of, I just got back from a place called Modern Elder Academy from a mini sabbatical there. It was incredible. This is a phenomenal place in Mexico that equips people midlife to say, what's next? Or to just take time for a personal retreat. Really a generously supportive place. And in the morning, there's yoga classes with the teacher's name is Teddy. And in the last yoga class I was at a few days ago, he basically, shared this simple question that when we're berating ourselves in our minds, as we often do, ask the question, do I know that to be true? Just simply that. And the partner to that question is, what else might be true? And those are very powerful. And that comes up in that sameness equals safety equation too. What do I really know to be true? All I know to be true is I did this yesterday and the day before and had a good experience, period. That's it.
Yep. I like that. I would personally add the word now, only because, to your point about my story with Michael, is it was true from 25 years ago. It's not true now. It's simply the memory that has a story built around it, that because of your focus, because of your focus into that whatever desire or topic or whatever, it's just naturally weaving that into the story you're generating in your head. So there is no sense within the mind of time. There's no sense of that. It's all right there, right now. It's all available. The time frame is because of when you experienced it. So the ego isn't going back looking for, oh, wait, I remember 25 years ago. It doesn't. It's going into the warehouse and going, that fits, that energy fits, that energy fits, that energy fits. It's an energy thing. And that energy is attached to a story. The stuff that I talked about hanging out in the field, It's like, oh, there's a whole bunch of energy on that. That must be important to this. Let's create the arc. Let's connect the dot so that when it comes through in your consciousness, it's coming through as a present moment story. And so the now piece of it to me is to say, is it relevant now? And you go, oh, that's when you stop and go, oh, wait a second. That didn't happen today. That was an experience a long time ago. Is that still true now? And in many cases, it won't be. Then you go, oh, that's where I see you start to break it down a little bit. The tool where you're talking about, how do you get there from here? You have to get conscious. You have to become aware of what's being presented so that you can make choices within that presentation. And if you think that everything that's being presented is not in your control, then you will continue to be managed by the ego, because that's the only other option. You've given that power away to some other energy that's taking care of it for you.
Yeah.
So,
wow, that was a powerful statement. First thing I learned from that is in the warehouse, and I love that analogy you're talking about for the mind, the ego. We organize things by vibration, by energetic similarity, not by time.
Right.
Yeah.
That's pretty powerful stuff. We have talked nonstop. I was getting ready to look at the break and went, what? It's 56 already? Wait a second. So, Moshe, I'd love for you to take a moment to tell people, do you want to share with people about the work you're doing right now so that they can tap into what you're doing?
Sure.
Okay. Just to say hi. I mean, you can go for it. Moshe, you can find Moshe at theamariwave.com or at mosheengelberg.com. And I'm going to step out for a second and let you talk to the peeps.
Okay. Thanks, Jim. Why I am here is to bring more love into the world. That's my purpose. And the context I do it in is business, because business is missing love and maybe the most powerful force for making our lives and world better, the most powerful untapped force. And the way I do my work is through writing and speaking and working with leaders on essentially making their organizations more love-centered. And where it starts is with loving themselves. So it's a mixture of business consulting. I've had my consulting firm for 30 years, helping organizations with improving business, shifted more to this love-centered stuff. That's the leadership coaching. And then a little bit of spiritual woo-woo mixed in. So that is what I do.
I love it, with a little bit of spiritual woo-woo mixed in.
Right.
Love that. Why not? And of course, we got to have a little magic in there. If you've not seen it before, Moshe's book, The Amari Wave, Uplifting Business and Putting Love to Work, is available everywhere. Make sure you check that out. Great book, well written, easy to get into, and particularly because of the business focus, it really does an amazing job of helping to see how business goes from that war environment to something else, to that love place. So check it out. Available everywhere. Moshe, always amazing time with you. I thank you so much. I apologize that we didn't get to you till the end.
No problem. Thank you, Jim. A pleasure.
Always good to see you guys out there in the world. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for your energy. Miss Jackie out there, thanks for your input. And we look forward to seeing you next time on Adventures in Truth. And we'll see you guys on the other side as soon as I can find my buttons. Seems like it's always about the buttons. All right, my friend, have a terrific day. We'll talk to you very soon.
Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Adventures in Truth Livecast. Please like, subscribe, and share. If you'd like to learn more about Jim's book, Fear is a Choice, Unraveling the Illusion of Our Separation from Love, check it out at www.fearisachoicebook.com. Also check out Moments of Truth, a new offering from Adventures in Truth. If you'd like to work with Jim, check out www.thesciencetransformation.com to book a session. Tune in live every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time and every Friday, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Or look for our new releases and podcasts every Monday. Until next time, be well, and we'll see you again on Adventures in Truth Livecast.